If there's one thing we can change about our diet that can have the biggest impact, I think, it's reducing the amount of carbohydrates that we eat. Carbohydrates are generally either sugars or starches, and there's two types. There's refined carbohydrates, which are not so good for weight loss, and then there's unrefined carbohydrates, which are the good carbohydrates. And I want to talk about both of those. Generally, the refined carbohydrates, which are foods like white rice, white pasta, generally anything that's really white, bagels, cereals, juices, sugars, donuts, cakes, snack foods. Those are processed foods that actually will raise an individual's blood sugar. Normally when somebody eats those foods, their blood sugar goes up very rapidly, and then their body produces a hormone called insulin. Insulin is a fat-storing hormone. So one of the things that people can do to really start to reduce their weight is to reduce the amount of these carbohydrates in their diet. And what will happen is their insulin levels will come down and they'll start to burn fat. Insulin is also one of the underlying factors in increasing an individual's blood pressure, increasing cholesterol levels, lowering HDL cholesterol, which is a good cholesterol, and increasing triglycerides. So really reducing these carbohydrates can have a really great impact on just overall health, not only weight loss. That leads us to what can you eat? What carbohydrates are good? Because we don't want to cut carbohydrates out. I mean, that's a fad. Eating absolutely no carbohydrates will make you just irritable and miserable and fatigued. And the carbohydrates that do work are the unrefined carbohydrates. And they contain a lot of fiber, they contain minerals, they contain vitamins. And these are foods basically that you find in nature. They're fruits, they're vegetables. Beans are an excellent source of high fiber, unrefined carbs. And whole grains. And now I say whole grains, I'm not talking about cereal, I'm talking about steel-cut oats or something like quinoa, which is a grain that you find unrefined, or even like wheat bran. It's going to depend on what type of medical history you have and what type of body you have and how much physical exercise you do, but generally the range is between 30 to 40% of your diet as carbohydrates. Number might not mean a lot to you. So if we break it down to a traditional 1,200 to 1,500 calorie diet, we're looking at about between, I'd say, 50 to 60 grams of carbohydrates a day. Generally, overall, you don't want to eat a lot of carbohydrates, but those carbohydrates that I just mentioned are the ones that will help with weight loss and will help with lowering cholesterol and having a great impact on improving someone's health.